If your goal is to lose body fat, increase some lean muscle mass, and get strong, then eating enough protein and maintaining a calorie deficit along with strength training is the key. If you are vegan, you can't achieve high protein intake while relying on beans and lentils as your primary protein sources. In this video, I'm going to break it down step by step as to why beans, lentils, nuts, and seeds are not ideal to increase your overall protein intake while maintaining less calories. We are going to compare protein to calorie ratio in these examples to prove my point. Before we get into all those details, I want to say three things. Number one, I am not going to be telling you what you should be eating and should not be eating. I'm going to simply state the facts with all these various examples. It's entirely up to you what you do with this information and how you modify your diet to meet your protein targets. Number two, I am not saying beans and lentils and nuts and seeds are bad for you. They are amazing for your health. I have been raised vegetarian all my life and I consumed plenty of beans and lentils throughout my life. And I still continue to enjoy them in my daily diet to maintain a fit body. Beans and lentils are amazing for our health. They contain a ton of iron, magnesium, and lots of other vitamins and nutrients. We should all incorporate beans and lentils into our daily diet. However, all I'm trying to say is that if your goal is to change your overall body composition and maintain low calories, then relying completely on beans and lentils is not going to be ideal. And number three, the reason why I am sharing this information is because this is one of the mistakes most women make when their goal is to increase some lean muscle mass. Relying on beans and lentils alone will not help you achieve that goal. And that is one of the mistakes I made at the start of my fitness journey. And I'm simply sharing this information with you so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that I made. Before we dive into all the details, let's quickly talk about two things. Number one, why do calories matter? And number two, why do we need to keep our protein intake high? Calories are the king when it comes to losing weight. So if your goal is to lose fat and increase some lean muscle mass, which is what body recomposition is, then you need to increase your overall protein intake while maintaining a calorie deficit. And it becomes really challenging as a vegan if you are completely relying on beans, lentils, nuts, and seeds to get your protein targets. To demonstrate this example, let's say that you're a female and you need to eat 1,650 calories per day and about 120 grams of protein in order to successfully lose fat and increase some lean muscle mass. So if you are completely relying on beans and lentils, it's going to be really hard for you to maintain your calorie deficit while keeping your protein intake high. Number two, why does high protein matter? Protein is an essential macronutrient, just like carbs and fat. Pretty much every part of our body is built from protein. We need protein to help us repair our muscle tissue or possibly grow our muscle tissue. Our body needs protein for producing hormones and enzymes and pretty much for staying alive. And one of the other reasons protein is essential when you are trying to change your overall body composition is because protein helps you stay satiated. When you incorporate protein at every single meal, you feel a lot more fuller from those meals, and that means you're going to end up eating less calories overall at the end of the day. Now let's go over some of the examples of beans and lentils and compare their protein to calorie ratio to help us understand as to why they are not the best primary protein sources when you're trying to change your overall body composition. So in order to get 25 grams of protein from chickpeas, you will need to eat about 467 calories from chickpeas alone. That is roughly 285 grams of serving. To get 25 grams of protein from black beans, you will need to eat about 420 calories. That's about 300 grams of black beans, which is roughly about 2 cups. To get 25 grams of protein from cooked lentils, which are about 325 calories and roughly about 280 grams of serving. To get 25 grams of protein from green peas, you will need to consume about 390 calories and roughly about 500 grams of green peas. So as you can see, in order to get only 25 grams of protein, that's how much food volume you need to be eating in order to get those protein targets. I don't know about you, but as a female, if I eat that many beans and lentils in a day, I will be extremely bloated and uncomfortable. Everyone is different. I am not saying that what I experience, you are going to experience the same thing, but this is one of the things that you should consider. Now let's look at quinoa. Most people think that quinoa is a great plant-based protein source. Yes, quinoa is great in a sense that it has all 9 essential amino acids. However, quinoa is not that high in protein as you may think. To get 25 grams of protein from cooked quinoa, you will need to eat about 672 calories, and that is about 3 cups of cooked quinoa. That's a lot of food volume in my opinion. Now let's talk about nuts and seeds. Many people on a whole foods plant-based diet will say that nuts and seeds are amazing and they contain protein. Yes, they do, no doubt. However, they also are extremely high in calories and fat. In order to get 25 grams of protein from almonds, you will have to eat roughly 690 calories. To get 25 grams of protein from hemp seeds, you will have to eat 442 calories. To get 25 grams of protein from chia seeds alone, you will have to eat 729 calories. As you can see, the calorie to protein ratio is extremely high if you are relying on beans, lentils, nuts, and seeds as your primary protein source. Now let's talk about primary vegan protein sources that you should consider into your daily diet if you want to change your overall body composition. Number 1, tofu. Tofu is a complete plant-based protein because it contains all the 9 essential amino acids. To get 25 grams of protein from tofu, you will need to consume 140 grams of extra firm tofu. That is about 247 calories. Tofu is also higher in calcium, and tofu is slightly higher in fat as well. So it's not going to be completely lean protein source. Consider tofu as a protein source with some fat. Tempeh is another great plant-based protein source. It's in the same category as tofu. Tempeh is fermented, so it's much better for your gut health. However, not everybody enjoys eating tempeh as it tends to have a bitter taste. If you try out some of my recipes that I have shared on my channel with tempeh, you will definitely enjoy incorporating tempeh into your diet. So make sure you check those recipes out at the end of this video. I will leave the links for those videos in the description box below. So to get 25 grams of protein from tempeh, you will need to consume about 244 calories. For those of you who cannot consume soy, then you have an option of having fava bean tofu. To get 25 grams of protein from fava bean tofu, you are only looking at 111 calories and it has 0 grams of fat. So the macro for fava bean tofu are amazing. I highly recommend using fava bean tofu as a replacement if you're not able to consume any soy products. One of my other favorite plant-based protein source is TVP, which stands for textured vegetable protein. Textured vegetable protein is usually dried up soybeans. It's a really good lean protein source. To get 25 grams of protein from TVP, you only get 165 calories, and that's from a 50 grams of serving, and it has only 0.5 grams of fat. So it's an extremely lean plant-based protein source, and it's really macro friendly, and it's going to help you increase your overall protein intake while keeping your overall calories low. One of my other favorite lean plant-based protein source is seitan. Seitan is derived from vital wheat gluten flour. It's basically washing out all the starches from the wheat, and you are left with this wheat flour. This wheat flour alone is not a complete plant-based protein source. However, if you combine seitan with lupini beans, nutritional yeast, or if you combine seitan with tofu, then it becomes a complete plant-based protein source. One of my favorite way to consume seitan is using my high-protein seitan buns, which you guys seem to enjoy a lot. This is one of the recipes I shared on my channel a while back. I will link that in the description box below, so make sure to check that out. To get 25 grams of protein from my tofu and seitan steak recipe, you will have to eat only 72 grams of serving, which is only about 153 calories. And not to mention, it has 1.8 grams of leucine as well. One of the other lean plant-based protein source is plant-based protein powders. I personally love to add protein powder every single day into my oatmeal, and I have absolutely no problem with that. It really helps me meet my protein targets. Depending on which brand of protein powders you use, you can get 25 grams of protein within 120 to 150 calories. My personal favorite brand is Sprout Living. You can save 20% off using my discount code. One of the other plant-based protein sources is edamame. 25 grams of protein from edamame will give you 282 calories, and you will need to eat roughly little over a cup of green edamames. One of my other favorite plant-based protein source is lupini beans. Lupini beans are the only beans that are very high in protein, low in calories, and low in carbohydrate. To get 25 grams of protein from lupini beans, you will have to consume roughly about 218 calories, and that's about 1.5 cups of cooked lupini beans. One of the other ways that you can increase your protein intake is by incorporating some processed faux meats. I know they are processed, so they are personally not my favorite things to consume every single day. However, they are a great alternative when you really are on the go or you don't have time to prepare your protein ahead of time. Lastly, there are many other ways to increase your overall protein intake without increasing too many calories. And one of the ways to do that is by just simply adding 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast on top of your pasta or inside your salad. 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast is about 4 grams of protein and only 30 calories. Another way to bump up your protein intake is by adding spirulina into your smoothies. 1 tablespoon of spirulina will give you about 4 grams of protein. One of my other ways to bump up my overall protein intake is using silken tofu as my desserts or to make my sauces or cook my pasta sauces with. Fourth option to bump up your protein intake is to use powdered peanut butter. Powdered peanut butter is a lot less in calories compared to natural peanut butter, which tends to be a lot more calorically dense, and it doesn't have that much protein. So that's one of the things that I like to add on top of my pancakes, waffles, or my morning oats. It just helps me bump up my overall protein intake without increasing too many calories. One of the other ways to bump up your overall protein intake is to use plant-based Greek yogurt. Plant-based Greek yogurt tends to be a lot more higher in protein compared to normal yogurt. Another way to bump up your protein intake is to use soy milk. Depending on the brand, 1 cup of soy milk can have anywhere between 8 grams to 13 grams of protein per cup. So if you are currently using almond milk or oat milk, then it's a good idea for you to switch from those milk to soy milk. So good news is that you can combine your plant-based protein from different sources. You don't have to completely eat tofu or only eat beans or lentils. Let's say you want to create a Buddha bowl. In this Buddha bowl, you can have about 100 grams of extra firm tofu, which will give you 17.6 grams of protein and only about 176 calories. You can also add some cooked quinoa. Let's say you added about 100 grams of cooked quinoa, which will give you additional 4.7 grams of protein. You can now also add about 50 grams of cooked black beans, which will give you 4.1 grams of protein and 70 calories. And then you can go ahead and add 1 cup of cooked broccoli if you wish. That will give you about 3 grams of protein and 27 calories. And now let's top off this Buddha bowl with our tofu sriracha mayo, which will be about 50 grams of serving and 33 calories with 2.1 grams of protein. In this Buddha bowl, now you will have 428 calories with 31.5 grams of protein. So this is one of the ways to increase your overall protein intake as a vegan without increasing your overall calories. By keeping your protein intake high, you will be able to increase your lean muscle mass while you will also be able to increase your overall strength at the gym, which is critical as we all get older. Our goal should not be chasing skinny. Goal should be to maintain stronger bones and stay as strong and independent as long as possible while improving or maintaining our quality of life as we all get older. And only way to do that is by increasing your overall protein intake while doing resistance training. I hope you found value in today's video. If you did, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each one of you. Don't forget to share this video with someone who needs to increase their overall protein intake as a vegan. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I hope you're all staying healthy and active. I'll see you guys very soon on my next one. Bye.